Preamble. My name is E.T., a humble Franco-Canadian citizen with a mere quarter-century of life experience. Having lived between two continents, in what is now Occitania and so-called Quebec, I stand as a witness, like many others, to an era where the democracy presented to us is nothing more than a facade. This book, The Archaic Democracy, was born out of a simple desire to denounce the decay in which our political system, still daring to call itself democracy, has fallen. The very term, which has carried hopes and struggles for centuries, has lost its original meaning. In reality, we face an archaic structure, frozen in place, where an elite has appropriated power at the expense of the many populations that inhabit the earth. This book is a call to action, an invitation to reclaim our sovereignty. A people united will never be defeated. A militant chant. Today, I put my thoughts into writing to offer not only a reflection, but also a concrete strategy that aims to be radical, reasoned, and accessible for free to all those who, like me, feel an urgent need for change. I do not claim to hold the ultimate truth, far from it, but I sincerely believe that dialogue, the exchange of ideas, and a lucid analysis of facts, rather than opinions, can lead us toward a collective reclaiming of the ability to create better societies. It is high time that we, the people, regain our place, break free from the illusion of representative democracy, and take control of our destiny. I first want to express my deep gratitude to my grandmother, a teacher by profession, born in the midst of World War II in 1940, to my mother as well, and to my father, whom I barely knew, yet who contributed a significant part of his genome to me. I also thank all those who, through their reflections, encouragement, or criticisms, have contributed to the development of this book. As the saying goes, it's quality that counts, not quantity. To all of you who, like me, can no longer accept the status quo and feel compelled to act, I thank you for your vital energy, essential for today and tomorrow. My thanks also go to the thinkers, activists, and philosophers, past and present, who have inspired me through their writings. Peter Kropotkin, Hannah Arendt, Jean Ziegler, Naomi Klein, and especially Francis 𝕬𝕣𝕔𝕙 in the field of democracy. I had the privilege of meeting the latter, and through the new perspective he offered me in 2020 on the question of democracy, no doubt as for many, given that he holds a PhD in political science and teaches at the university, he unknowingly guided me toward an understanding of democracy as an evolving entity, pushing me to write this humble book. Like you all whom I love unconditionally, this small book is for us, whoever we may be, and for myself as well, as it presents an opportunity to grow with new visions, often questioning everything, including myself, my thoughts, and the psyche that drives me in this world. The Archaic Democracy is also for those who haven't given up on the idea of a just, equal, and truly democratic society. Together, I am convinced that we can transform what is now perceived as a utopia into a concrete reality. Let us be the generations that refuse to endure the archaic system, and through our actions, restore democracy to its original meaning. Introduction. I welcome you, whether you're reading this book or listening to its audio version, into this humble work that I offer freely to those curious enough to seek a bit of emancipation. As you've already noticed, this book addresses modern democracy. This political system, presented to us as the pinnacle of civilization and freedom, reveals itself in many ways to be corrupted, drained of its original meaning. Without cynicism, but with a vision that seeks to be both realistic and radical in the sense of going to the root, while remaining open to dialogue and self-questioning, what we now call democracy is nothing more than a facade, an archaic structure. Instead of serving the interests of a people or another, it has come to sustain an oligarchy that no longer even bothers to hide. Power is no longer exercised by the diverse peoples of the world, but by a handful of political and economic elites who manipulate the levers of decision-making while controlling the masses through increasingly opaque and authoritarian institutions. When speaking of archaic democracy here, it is not a call to return to an ancient or medieval democracy, though their characteristics deserve examination. It is, above all, a demonstration of how modern democracy, as practiced in places like France, has become a relic, out of touch with popular aspirations. The term archaic is a reminder of this obsolescence, the stagnation of our institutions that have ceased to evolve to meet the needs of sovereign peoples. Democracy today resembles more an instrument of control than a genuine means of enabling people to make decisions. Writing to you now on September 9, 2024, the political context in France this year, like in previous years under Macron's reign, highlights this drift that has reached its peak. A spark could ignite the flame already present in the hearts of this ancient people. The current president, Emmanuel Macron, using constitutional mechanisms to his advantage, has appointed a prime minister who does not represent the majority from the most recent legislative elections. Ignoring the clear popular discontent, he has shown that representative democracy is merely a well-oiled machine that allows a narrow elite to maintain control of institutions while dispossessing the people of their power one too many times. This modest work, the archaic democracy, aims to serve as a guide and a strategy for the French people to regain their sovereignty, and also, for this translation, to serve any soul around the globe. It is not about superficial reforms, but about providing concrete means to decentralize the capacity to decide, both individually and collectively, so that every citizen can actively participate in the issues that concern them. The removal of Emmanuel Macron thus becomes a symbol, a necessary step to break the cycle of elite domination and restore the people's ability to govern. Perhaps even without government, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment in history, without a doubt. I won't go into further detail in this brief introduction. The political system we know has never truly served the people, and now it's up to the people to rise. Once we are standing, united around diverse voices representing the many cultures that have shaped modern France, we cannot be lulled into the illusion of granting once more the inherent right to decide our fates. I hope we will no longer passively accept this, but instead hold those in power accountable for their positions and remove those whose hands are bloodstained by the oppressive powers they've wielded. In short, we should heal and rethink democracy entirely, starting here in France, and hope that like 1789, though without the illusions, this new evolution toward a better future will inspire other countries. Far from the empty promises of representation, we could envision a radical, direct democracy where citizens, through local assemblies and participatory processes, truly take control of public affairs. It seems urgent that we return to basics, to understand how democracy has evolved, or rather how it has been deformed. Since ancient Greece, democracy has taken many forms, but the central idea, that power is exercised by the people, has been progressively erased. In the Greek city-states, direct participation by citizens was, it seems, a reality, though reserved for a minority. This form of direct democracy was far from perfect, but it embodied the idea that the people should be involved in decision-making. In the Middle Ages, certain forms of communal governance, of which guilds remain, offered examples of collective participation, although often limited by monarchy. What distinguishes our era is that under the guise of modernity, they have made democracy inaccessible. Institutions have been designed to marginalize citizen participation, while power is increasingly concentrated in the hands of technocrats and politicians, often closely tied to dominant economic interest. Voting every 5 years is presented as the essence of democracy, yet it is nothing more than a mechanism of passive approval. This form of democracy is not only archaic, but devoid of any real substance. In light of this, it is time to propose alternatives. This book calls for radical decentralization of power, without falling into the extremes of left or right, but with reason and purpose. Decisions must be made as close as possible to the people, in local assemblies, where every voice matters. We should no longer delegate our power to distant representatives, but reclaim our individual and collective sovereignty. Decentralization is key to breaking the chains of representative democracy, which now serves only to legitimize the authority of a disconnected elite, far removed from the concerns of the people. The time has come to break free from the archaic institutions and to imagine a truly popular, participatory, and direct democracy. The removal of Emmanuel Macron is not simply a political coup. It is the founding act of a broader movement to return power to the people, enabling them to decide their own destiny. And in doing so, we could embody virtues dear to us like love, humility, cooperation, and more. It would be the ideal time to reinvent democracy, an opportunity to unshackle it, and to open it up to those who have been excluded for too long. The recent events only underscore the urgency of this change. Successive crises, ecological, social, are the product of a political system that no longer responds to the needs of the people, who find their daily lives becoming increasingly difficult. This small book, as you now understand, aims to be a call to action, a rallying cry for a peaceful yet determined democratic evolution, where we the people will regain the power that was taken from us. In the chapters to come, I will analyze in depth the mechanisms that have led to this situation, exploring both the historical roots of democracy and modern solutions to deeply reform it, retaining only what is essential. I will humbly offer simple tools, strategies, and practical means for each and every one of us to participate in the reconstruction of societies worthy of the name. The archaic democracy is like a sounding gong, inviting us, including myself, to break free from an outdated system, to remove those who uphold it, and to take back control of our collective future with the tools at our disposal, while keeping in mind the foundations that will guarantee a bright beginning for the individual, the community, society, and, by extension, humanity. Happy reading!